So it's been a minute. Well, to be honest, it's been over 6 months since you've last seen me. Welcome back to Chris and Cameras, and what better way than to return than with this, the new Light Lens Lab 50mm 1.5 Z21. That's kind of a mouthful, but this is basically a reimagining of the legendary Angenieux, pardon my French, I don't know any, but this lens has been basically unattainable until now. Today, we're doing a full unboxing, initial thoughts, the spin table, and we're putting this lens up against the 50mm Summilux spherical and also the 35mm Angenieux 35 2.8 retrofocus lens that I had converted to M mount. So grab a drink, sit back, relax, and let's talk about this new lens. So let's address the elephant in the room. Where have I been? So between 2 jobs, life, and a series of small unfortunate events, I got a bit burnt out and I needed some time to sort these things and turn my life a bit less hectic. So unfortunately, I had to let something go temporarily, which was YouTube, because it is really a full-time job and it deserves its respect, and it's time to get quality content out there, and you guys deserve that. And here I am 6 months later, ready to get back at it. Thank you so much everyone for being there, for your comments, your ideas, feedback, everything, and thank you so much for sticking around. I will do my best to get more content out there, hopefully 2 to 3 videos per month. Next year for sure, I'm gonna pivot towards YouTube more and get a lot more content out there. Before we dive into this lens, I owe you something. Congratulations to Venture Outside, his comment somewhere here, who won the giveaway for the Christmas video I did 6 months ago. And I agree with him. The M11, M7, a 28mm Summilux, and a Sweet Portra 400 are perfect for holiday season. Definitely that shallow depth of field with the 28mm, getting up close, gorgeous. Great choice, dude. I'll reach out to you, Venture Outside. I'll send you an email and I'll get those shipped to you. So, all right, so the moment you've been waiting for, let's do that unboxing. So an unboxing wouldn't be anything without showing you what's the box it shipped in, because after all, it's an unboxing video. So let me show you that. Here we go. So it comes in a nice, sturdy, typical cardboard box. This one came all the way from China. By coincidence, pure coincidence, I was on RedNote. I commented on this guy's post of the Z21. And after doing some talking, some back and forth with this guy, because he did his own review on RedNote and I liked it. He did it, it explained it very well, short, to the point, with samples. And I had this guy on WeChat, which is the Chinese version of Messenger. And he knows David, the representative of Light Lens Lab. And he introduced us over WeChat and we made it happen. Yeah. My wife is Chinese, so she was able to pay David via WeChat, and they shipped it over from China, that was amazing. So this got to me about less than a week, about 6 days. So amazing. Thank you so much, David. And also thank you, my friend from RedNote, also known as Xiaohongshu. All right, what you're actually looking for is this box, the nice white box. So as you can see, it says Light Lens Lab. I got very lucky. Mine is serial number 400 out of 998. So enough of me yapping, let me talk about the box. As you can see, the box itself is very nice. It is very nicely built, has a very nice tactful feeling. And as you can see, it's fluorescent. It's like a yellowish and glows in the light. It's a very nice box. Very impressed with it. Alrighty, and it opens from the bottom. So you just basically, oops, let it slide out. Luckily, it is padded inside, has some nice, very thick foam. And then this is how you get it. Like a pedestal showing off the lens, very nice. Right here, you have also in that same material as the outside box, the luminescent, very nice. Opens up like this. Let's see what this is. All right, it is a little pamphlet about the lens. Very nice material. Shows you the details about it. Has some drawings in it. And it's in English and Chinese. So let's put that back. Let me just fold it this way. Let's put that back. There we go. Fits very snug. Let's put this away. Alrighty, so it comes in a padded leather holder, just like a Leica lens, which is very nice. If you usually get Voigtlanders or other brands like Zeiss, you don't get a free pouch. So this is very cool, especially for the price, very nice. And I would say the leather is pretty consistent with what Leica is. If that's your thing, if you're a leather aficionado. All right, the moment you've been waiting for. Very nicely padded. So the lens, when it gets shipped out from China or from wherever you buy it, will be very protected. This is very hard, so you don't have to worry about it getting damaged. Alrighty, let's check out the lens. There it comes in this protective plastic to keep dust off. It's nice, feels good for a plastic bag. Alrighty, and there it is in the flesh. So you're probably wondering, why isn't his shiny? If you've seen on the Light Lens Lab website, you've seen them be glossy black. And that is true. David talked to me about the glossy version being sold only to the US market, and the matte versions are being sold currently only to the Chinese domestic market. Since I bought this lens from China directly, David sold me the matte version. Alrighty, so some initial thoughts. The lens cap unscrews, as you could see. It does take a while to unscrew it, so you have to be very careful not to let it drop into the lens itself, because it can go in there and then you scratch the element, and you wouldn't want that. So this is very light. It is aluminum, as you could tell. It is metal, so be very careful with the element. You don't want to scratch that, because that will. Versus plastic caps, less likely of scratching it, but with something aluminum like this, more of a chance of doing that. And let me set it down. And there it is. Look at that coating. Really nice and modern. There we go, let me open it up. That is smooth. There we go. Can you hear those aperture clicks? Let me show you that. Very subtle. Oh, my microphone's on this side. That's pretty much it. Very nice. So initial thoughts are, it feels very solid, very smooth, focusing. I wouldn't say it's buttery smooth, but it is very smooth, and it's not too heavy. It's pretty lightweight. It's not like the Summilux Spherical, which is very, very buttery smooth. But this is a new lens, and with some use, it might soften up. All right, let's check out the back. Look at that. This is also aluminum. As you can tell, it's metal. Very nice touch. You can see the Light Lens Lab logo right there. Very nice, I like that. There is the rear. So one thing about this lens, the original Angenieux S21 did not come in Leica M mount. Not even, some I believe came in an L39, which is the screw mount. That's why the lens is rare itself, because especially the L39 ones are extremely rare. They made a very small amount of them. So until you got this lens from Light Lens Lab, unless you wanted to fork up around $15,000, now you could get it for around $1,000. And this part is basically all a specially made adapter, which is basically built into this lens. That's why if you read on their blog, they talk about how they redesigned the focusing mechanism and mounting system to fit on the Leica M mount. The whole lens exterior is aluminum, as you could tell. It's all metallic, it's all very solid, it's machined very well. There's no sharp edges, it's all smoothed out. As you can tell, it's very shiny, the silver parts. A very nice look to it, very vintage look, very unique. You don't see lenses like this anymore. Very solid heft to it. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. For the size of it, it's a good heft. One very cool feature that you don't see on a lot of lenses is the aperture indentations. It starts at 1.5 there, right? And then it clicks into f2. That was pretty long, right? Then you go to 2.8, then f4, and it gets shorter and shorter. A bit strange at first. Obviously, you could get used to this, but it's just something of a bygone era, or possibly something that they used in the cinema business. I'm not sure. If you know the details about why this is, please leave it in the comments. I'd be very interested to know, but I found that very cool. Let me introduce you to the original one, the 35 2.8. Here it is. This is the 35 2.8. Now, the original part of it is from here till here. All you see below is basically the M conversion. So all of this was needed to get it to convert to M mount. And just like this one, it being unscrewed, this one also unscrews. So Light Lens Lab points for that, keeping it just like the original one. But I found it interesting that they used a plastic cap on the original one. I'm not sure if that's only for this model or if it went for the S21 as well, but I found that to be very interesting. So aluminum versus plastic, much lighter of course, and less chance of scratching your lens. So as you can see, I actually got this one very mint. There's not a single scratch. Well, obviously there's probably micro scratches, but there's no significant scratches on the lens coat of this one. And as you could see, totally different coatings. Obviously Light Lens Lab used modern coatings, which you could tell, very amazing. One interesting thing is, since these were originally cinema lenses, this retro focus 35-2.8 does not have any indentations in the aperture. It freely flows. I'm not sure if that's an issue, but I believe this is how these lenses were. And mine actually needs a CLA because this is very loose, unless that was the point in cinema. Another little detail I'd like to share is, it's always these small details that makes reviewing these lenses and using them so fun. The logos that Light Lens Lab did it in the same style that Angenieux did. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's reflecting. So I found that to be very cool and like a tribute to Angenieux Paris themselves. Very cool. I'd like to take a moment to talk about what I think my interpretation of the mission of Light Lens Lab was with this Z21 replica of the S21. This wasn't meant to be an exact one-to-one copy of the S21. The first detail we could see is the modern coatings. These are modern coatings that are not gonna flare or ghost as much. Additionally, you got the clicks, which I believe were not on the original one, as we could see on my 35-2.8. Also, most importantly, which makes a huge difference for everyone, is that because of the specially designed mount Light Lens Lab did to M mount, you can now go to 0.7. So you can get 30 centimeters closer than what the original S21 would, which is a game changer. At 1.5, it's gonna make a huge difference with your depth of field, with the background blur. My understanding is that they also use the same glass, infusion period glass basically, that they, Light Lens Labs themselves, manufactured and put into this. So huge kudos, huge congratulations to Light Lens Lab for getting these lenses out to us. The only other option of how I could have gotten this lens was forking up $15,000 and getting the S21, and let me tell you, for $15,000, I think there's other stuff I would rather buy. As promised, we got the Light Lens Lab Z21 back on the spin table, and it is a gorgeous lens. Disclaimer once more, that this is the matte version for the Chinese market. This is not the US version. I believe the US version is a glossy black variant. With that being said, if you go to their website, for US buyers, you get linked over to Pop Flash, and I believe theirs has more details on which version you're gonna get. But for the people that can't see this lens in person, hopefully this helps you out to try and gauge how big the lens is, how it looks up close, and check out those minor details. This different angle, the Z21, it's really a gorgeous lens. Look at those modern coatings on it. I'm just gonna go over a few technical aspects of the lens directly from the website just to make sure that you guys got this info. So it's a 6 element and a 4 group design. Amazingly, this supports frame coverage up to 44:33 on a digital sensor, which is really awesome. That means you could shoot this on medium format without losing any of the edges. That's truly a game changer. So if you get this lens, you could also shoot it from your Leica to directly on your Hasselblad if you wanted to. As I mentioned before, it has in-house manufactured latinite infused elements specifically designed for this lens. And once more, this is the matte black version for the Chinese market. As promised, I have here the Angenieux 35-2.8 converted to M mount alongside the Light Lens Lab Z21. As I mentioned before, the Z21 is a matte black finish, while the original Angenieux 35-2.8 is a high glossy black finish. The top of the Angenieux 2.8 is original, while the bottom half is the converted M mount. So if you were to buy the glossy black Z21, it would be closer to the finish of the 35 2.8 that I'm showing you here. So now we have both lenses on their sides, so you could check out how that paint finish looks in the light. And it's a huge difference between glossy black versus matte black finish. And now we could see the optics, the coatings are totally different. You got the Z21 with the modern coatings versus the original 1960s coatings on the 35 2.8. Both are gorgeous lenses. Obviously one's a 35, one is a 50mm, but they both are what Angenieux is basically, and what Light Lens Lab wants their interpretation of this lens to be as well. We're taking a look at a lens that is comparable to the Z21, both of them being 50mm, both of them being high speed, the Leica being at 1.4, the Z21 being at 1.5. And this lens is very famously known, the Leica Summilux 50mm spherical, version 1 now, which has been out for close to 20 years, possibly more. And it is basically the opposite of what the Z21 is. Extremely sharp, lots of micro contrast, really controlled at 1.4. That lens is all about precision. Meanwhile, the Z21, wide open, it's basically glow city. Not that much sharpness, it's there at 1.5 when you need it, but never clinical like the 1.4 Leica. Both of these lenses are aluminum with brass fittings inside. Both of the weights are very comparable. Obviously, the Z21 is a bit taller, but the Leica does have a retractable hood, so they could be around the same size. How wide the Z21 is compared to, it's not by much, and it's mostly at the focus rings. Both of these lenses, gorgeous for the ages. And one last detail, the Z21 does not have a focus tab, while the Leica spherical does have a focus tab. That is a huge game changer for some people. Here's a different angle of both lenses on their sides, and as you can see, both of them are supposed to be matte black finishes. I believe both of them are also anodized, but the finish is totally different. On the Leica, it's a bit glossier, not glossy, just a bit more of an eggshell. One important thing to note on these is that the Light Lens Lab has a filter diameter of 52mm, meanwhile the Leica has a 46mm filter diameter. So the moment you've been waiting for has arrived. We got the Z21 on my Leica M11 glossy black paint, and it looks gorgeous. This being a longer lens, as you can see, it does tilt forward. A lot of the weight is in the middle of the lens, which kind of pushes it forward. So it's kind of front heavy, because a lens of this size, of a 1.5 50, usually on a Leica is a bit shorter. Even the 50mm Leica 1.4 is a bit shorter than this. Usually at this length of a lens, you're looking at more of a 75mm, 90mm. Due to Light Lens Lab needing to make that adapter / mount, it does add a lot of length to this lens, making it a bit longer than usual. So this is how the matte black version looks on glossy black paint camera. Hey, welcome back from the spin stand. I'm hoping that those shots, that comparison really helped you out in helping you decide that that's a lens you want to get or a lens you're going to pass on. Or at least just for fun, you could see how it is compared to some of your favorite lenses. So now that I have the Z21 on the M11, I'll go over it really quickly. It does make the camera a bit heftier. And as I mentioned before, it's a little bit slightly front heavy just due to how long it is. If I set it on the table, it automatically leans forward, which is nothing new for Leica owners. We know that bigger lenses usually always are front heavy. One thing to note is that the focus stroke is just like the original, very long. We're talking about like halfway, like a 180-degree focus stroke, which I understand maybe in the cinema world you do need something that long to, I guess, go in and out of focus very smoothly, versus on the modern Leicas, it's literally less than 40 degrees, maybe 45 degrees, very quickly, especially with the focus tab. So just keep that in mind. That's something that you're probably gonna have to get used to get that critical focus. And as I mentioned before, the aperture blades are rounded, so you will get a different look, more rounded bokeh balls. Now, you're probably wondering, do you have to keep this lens cap with you all the time, unscrewing, screwing all the time? Most likely, if you do keep it with you all the time, you're gonna miss a lot of shots with this because it does take a while to unscrew it off. So my humble suggestion is either get a lens cap, like a plastic generic one, and just use that. Or some people don't even like to use lens caps, just go full naked on it. Or buy a lens filter. This is a original Nikon L39 filter, UV filter. And remember, it's a 52mm filter diameter, screws in there nicely. I bought this specifically to match the finish, which it does. Looks gorgeous with that on. But obviously filters cause their own problems. Will this cause more flaring, more ghosting? I don't know, we'll see. Thanks for sticking around as long as you have. I appreciate it. Every view, every comment, all the feedback is always appreciated. I'm glad to be back. And I really hope that this review, as long as it is, has helped you get a better idea of what this lens is, the unboxing, the shipping process, the whole ethos behind the Light Lens Lab Z21. Hopefully I explained that as best as I could. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. What I'm planning on doing is taking this lens out with this camera and going out to Washington, DC. I live about 15 minutes away from there. And we're gonna use this lens in real world settings, basically. We're gonna be tourists, we're gonna do some portraits, we're gonna take pictures up close, and we're also gonna be comparing it to the 35 2.8. That way we could see just how close Light Lens Lab has gotten to the original look of the Angenieux family, basically. I hope to see you then, and as always, see you in the next one.